Dowager Queen Visenya did not attend her nephew, King Aenys' funeral. Mere hours after his death, she had mounted her dragon Vhagar and flown east across the narrow sea. When she came back, she was with her son, Prince Maegor, who was atop Balerion the Black Dread. Maegor only stayed on Dragonstone long enough to claim the crown, his father's own iron and ruby crown, not his brother's ornate gold with images of the Seven carved into it. His mother placed it on his head as Lord and Knights knelt as he proclaimed himself king. Only Grand Maester Garwin dared object. By the laws of inheritance, the Lord Aegon himself set out the Iron Throne should have gone to King Aenys' oldest son, Prince Aegon, named after his grandfather. However, Maegor simply told the Grand Maester, the Iron Throne will go to the man who has the strength to seize it. He executed Grand Maester Garwin with a single swing of Blackfire. Queen Alyssa had fled to Dragonstone within hours of her husband's funeral. She hid away at her father's castle on nearby Driftmark. However, Maegor did not seem to care, retiring to the room of the painted table with his maesters to send letters to all the lords of Westeros. The next day, Maegor flew across Blackwater Bay to King's Landing, accompanied by his mother, the Dowager Queen Visenya. The return of dragons to the city caused mass panic. The warriors' sons held the city walls and the building site of the Red Keep, as well as the Sceptre of Remembrance atop the hill of Aenys. The Targaryen banner was raised above Visenya's hill, and the king called all loyal men to gather to him. Visenya proclaimed her son had come to be their king, a true king, the blood of Aegon, her husband and brother, that if any man should question Maegor's right to the throne, to face him in combat. The warriors' sons were quick to accept her challenge. From Aenys' hill rode 700 knights, led by their captain, Sir Daemon Morrigan, also known as Daemon the Devout. Maegor told Daemon swords would decide his fate. Daemon agreed, proclaiming the gods will grant victory to the man with the just cause, and that each side should choose 7 champions. He asked the king if he could find 6 to stand with him, as Aenys had taken the Kingsguard to Dragonstone. The king turned to the crowd. Many turned away in fear, or pretended they did not hear Maegor's plea for volunteers, as many had come to fear the warriors' sons. But one man offered himself. No knight, but a lonely man-at-arms who called himself Dick Bean. Dick told Maegor he had been a king's man since he was a boy, and meant to die one. Only then did the first true knight step forward. Bernard Brune, the man who had killed Harren the Red, who declared that Dick Bean had shamed them all. His scorn drove others to offer themselves. Sir Bram of Blackhole, Sir Rayford Rosby, Sir Guy Lotherstone, and Sir Lucifer Massey. The names of Maegor 7 would forever be remembered in history. Dick Bean died first, cut down moments after combat begun. Accounts of the combat differ. One says Sir Guy the Glutton was cut open with undigested pie spilling out. Another account claims Sir Garibald of the Seven Stars sang as he fought, that Lord Massey hacked off the arm of Harry Horp. That Horp threw his battle-axe into the other hand and buried it between Lord Massey's eyes. Some say they fought for hours, some only for moments, but in the end only Maegor Targaryen and Daemon the Devout, as well as William the Wanderer, stood. Both the warriors' sons were badly wounded, the king with his father's Valyrian steel sword Blackfire in hand. But the outcome was close. As Sir William fell, he dealt a strong blow to the king's head, so much so it cracked his helmet and left him unconscious. The crowd feared Maegor was dead, until his mother removed the broken helm, proclaiming that the king lives, that victory is his. 7 of the mighty warrior sons were dead, among them the leader Daemon the Devout, but 700 still remained atop the hill of Aenys. Dowager Queen Visenya commanded her son taken to maesters. As the king's litter-bearers carried him down the hill, the swords of the faith dropped to their knees in submission. Visenya ordered them to return to the fortified Sceptre of Remembrance. For 27 days Maegor lingered at the point of death, while maesters fruitlessly treated him with potions, while septons prayed above his bed. In the Sceptre of Remembrance, the warriors' sons prayed as well, and argued amongst themselves. Some felt they had no choice to accept Maegor as king, as the gods had blessed him with victory. Others insisted they were bound by oath to obey the High Septon and fight on. The Kingsguard arrived from Dragonstone. At the behest of the Dowager Queen, they took command of the Targaryen loyalists in King's Landing. On Driftmark, the widowed Queen Alyssa proclaimed her own son, Prince Aegon, the true king, but few answered their call. The young prince, who was not yet a man, remained at Crackle, halfway across the realm, besieged by the poor fellows. Meanwhile, the citadel of Oldtown, the Archmaesters met to debate the succession crisis, as well as to choose a new Grand Maester. Thousands of poor fellows headed to King's Landing. Those coming from the west followed a hedge knight, Sir Horace Hill. From the south, a gigantic axeman known as Wat the Hewer. When the poor fellows besieging Crackle marched for the capital, Prince Aegon and his wife and sister, Princess Rhaena, were finally able to depart, heading for Casterly Rock, where Lord Lyman Lannister offered his protection. It was Lady Jocasta Lannister who first worked out the princess was with child. On the 28th day after the trial of 7, a ship arrived from Pentos across the narrow sea, carrying 2 women and 600 sellswords. Alice Harroway, Maegor's second wife, had returned. With her came a pale, raven-haired beauty known as Tyanna of the Tower. Some speculate that Tyanna was Maegor's concubine. Some even named her Lady Alice's paramour. She was the daughter of a Pentoshi magister. She is rumoured to also be a poisoner and a sorceress as well. Despite the tales of her, as soon as she arrived, Dowager Queen Visenya dismissed the maesters and gave Maegor over to her care. The next morning, the king awoke as the sun rose. When Maegor appeared on the walls of the rising Red Keep, Alice and Tyanna at his side, the crowd broke into cheer and King's Landing erupted into celebration. But it all stopped suddenly when Maegor mounted the Black Dread and descended upon the hill of Aenys and the 700 warriors' sons praying in the sept. Bellorion's Dragonflame set the building ablaze. Archers and spearmen waited outside for those who rushed out the burning doors. The screams of the men could be heard from all over the city. The smoke lingered for over a week. Although other chapters of the warriors' sons remained, in cities across Westeros, the order never reached its former strength. The king's war against the faith had only just started and would continue for the rest of his reign. Battle was first joined in the Reach at the town of Stonebridge. 900 poor fellows under the Wat the Hewer were caught between 6 armies as they attempted to cross the River Manda. With half of his men on either side of the river, Wat's armies were massacred. The lightly armoured, untrained poor fellows were no match for armoured knights on horseback. The castle and town where the battle took place became known as Bitterbridge. Wat himself was taken prisoner and delivered to King's Landing in chains. By then, Sir Horace Hill had reached the Greenfork with a host of 13,000 poor fellows and 200 mountain warrior sons from Stony Sept. Household knights and levies from a dozen rebel lords from the Westerlands and Riverlands followed him as well. In total, with all the knights and lords, the host was 20,000 strong. King Maegor's army was the same size. However, he had twice as many armoured knights and horses, and a large force of longbowmen, as well as Balerion the Blackdread. 2 of the king's guard would be killed in the battle. Big John Hogg, fighting for the king, was blinded early in the battle by a sword slash, but managed to rally his men and lead a charge that broke the line, causing a mass rout. A rainstorm dampened Balerion's flames, but not enough to make much of a difference. By nightfall, Maegor had won the battle, and the remaining poor fellows dropped their weapons and fled in all directions. Maegor returned to King's Landing to seat himself on the Iron Throne. When Wat the Hewer was brought to him, Maegor took off his limbs with Wat's own axe, but commanded the maesters to keep him alive so he might attend his wedding. Maegor announced he would take Tyanna of Pentos as his 3rd wife, though it was rumoured that his mother, the Dowager Queen Visenya, had no love for the Pentoshi sorceress. Only Grand Maester Myros dared speak against her. He told the king his true wife, Cerise Hightower, awaited him. Maegor slew the Grand Maester with Blackfire where he stood. Maegor and Tyanna were married atop the hill of Aenys, among the rubble of the Sept of Remembrance. It said Maegor had put a dozen Septons to death before he found one willing to marry them. Wat the Hewer was kept alive to witness the marriage. Aenys' widow, Queen Alyssa, was present during the wedding, as well as her younger sons, Viserys and Jaehaerys, and her daughter Alysanne. The Dowager Queen had flown to Driftmark and persuaded her to leave her sanctuary and return to court. Alyssa, her brothers and cousins of House Velaryon, paid homage to Maegor as their one true king. Meanwhile, across the realm in Old Town, the High Septon proclaimed Maegor an abomination, while the king's first wife, Cerise Hightower, insisted she was the king's one and only true wife and lawful queen. In the west, Aegon Targaryen, Prince of Dragonstone, and his wife, Princess Rhaena, remained defiant as well.